You have an annoying cough. You have an irritated throat. You have a sore throat. You're feverish. You're nursing a broken toe. You need to be in bed with a cup of tea and biscuits, and you need a book. Now, this is not the time for existentialism, nihilism, or any other philosophical book. You need something bohemian, something light and airy. When I am sick, this is what I pick. This is Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. Jerome K. Jerome is a late 19th century writer, and his Three Men in a Boat is one of the most humorous, witty, funny book ever. This is a classic. Every rereading of it, which is quite often, as I get say quite often, this every single rereading makes you laugh out loud. He is the true humorist. In a way, a rather underrated classic writer. Jerome K. Jerome was orphaned at the age of 14, and he did various jobs till he was a young man of 20. He did all sorts of jobs which gave him a vast experience. Now, the book, The Three Men in a Boat, is written about true people. The narrator himself, we can call him Jay, and his two friends, Harris and George, and no less a character is Montmorency the dog. So these three men are seen sitting in the room and they are all discussing illnesses, all their illnesses, and they feel that they should take a trip to bring themselves back, rejuvenate themselves. And somebody suggests the seaside, but Harris says, no, it's too dangerous. And there is yet another suggestion of a countryside trip, but then that is put down as too boring. And so they decide to go on a 2 week boat trip on the Thames River. And this is what the book is about. The book was intended as a serious travel guide, but by the time it came out, it was more of a comic book, a true comedy with all the parts of the travel guide in between, kept in between. All the serious or sentimental passages were in between. Jerome K. Jerome himself says that he wrote this book as a young man. He says, I was working high above in an apartment and above the chimneys, and I was looking down through my window and saw how beautiful London was. It was covered in glossy mist during the summertime, and the author describes it as looking down into the cave of Aladdin and seeing all those jewels that made him write this work. So, this is a paragraph I would like to read here. He says, I remember going to the British Museum one day to read up the treatment for some slight ailment of which I had just a touch, hay fever. I fancy it was. I got down the book and read all I came across to read, and then, in an unthinking moment, I idly turned the leaves and began to indolently study diseases. Generally, I forget which was the first distemper I plunged into. Some fearful, devastating scourge I knew, and before I had glanced half down the list of premonitory symptoms, it was borne in upon me that I had fairly got it. So I came to typhoid fever, read the symptoms, discovered that I had typhoid fever, must have had it for months without knowing it. So this is how the book goes, and quite a lot of people still look into the Google or on the internet and decide that they have too many diseases, and this is so much a part of human nature to read and to be suggesting to one's own mind. So we have all met hypochondriacs like this in our life. I believe I could imagine A young P.G. Wodehouse, a very young boy sitting and reading his Three Men in a Boat, and the incurable veracity and truth of it strikes him, and he laughs out loud and later creates the world of the Blandings Castle and Bertie and Jeeves. And that is why I feel that this is really a preface to all those comic books that have come in the modern era, because this is really at the cusp of when publication started going into a mass media. This is a late 19th century book. So if you're sick, this is definitely on the list. The only harm is if you fall out of your bed laughing.